Hey everyone, welcome. I am so absolutely thrilled to have you here for this explainer today. We're going to do something really exciting. We hear so much noise out there, so we're going to completely decode the complex, sometimes totally intimidating matrix of economics. We're going to break the whole shebang down into simple human behavior and everyday trade-offs. If you've ever felt like the economy is just this confusing mess of numbers and political shouting matches, well, you are exactly in the right place. We are going to clear away all that noise and look at the invisible laws that actually run the world.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why do good intentions fail? It's kind of the central mystery we're going to solve today. You see, economics, it isn't about what we hope will happen, and it's certainly not about political promises or wishful thinking. Economics is really about the unavoidable, literally unbending laws of human behavior. And the cool thing is, once you start to see these laws, you can't be manipulated anymore. You start to understand exactly why things happen the way they do.
So let's get right into Section 1, the illusion of intentions, when policy meets reality.
To really grasp this concept, let's take a quick trip back to the state of Maryland in 2008. The state had a problem, right? They needed cash, and someone realized, hey, we have about 8,000 millionaires living right here in the state. So the plan was wonderfully straightforward. Let's just tax the rich a little bit more, and we'll project an extra $106 million coming in every single year. Boom, problem solved. The intention was undeniably great, and in year one, it actually seemed to work. But when reality set in by year two, someone recounted those millionaires. There were only 6,000 left. 2,000 millionaires had just vanished.
Well, actually, scratch that. They didn't literally vanish, of course. They just packed their bags and moved somewhere else. And because they left, Maryland didn't gain that $106 million. Instead, the state actually lost a massive $257 million in total tax revenue. Those fleeing millionaires took their wealth, sure, but they also took their businesses, their restaurants, their companies, and, here's the kicker, all the jobs that went with them.
So, the crucial point is this. People respond to rewards, not intentions. This is just an absolute rule of life. Maryland intended to raise money for the state, but what the policy actually did in the real world was reward millionaires for leaving. You can wish that people would just sit there and accept higher taxes, but intentions do not matter to the economy. Rewards do. If you really want to understand what people are going to do, don't ask what you want them to do. Ask what you are actively rewarding them to do.
All right, moving right along to Section 2. Price controls create chaos. The macro-micro flip.
We're going to flip between some massive macroeconomic examples and tiny micro-analogies to show you that prices are actually essential messages. They're communication. And when you manipulate those messages, you kind of destroy the system. Let's start with a quick definition to get us on the same page. A price ceiling is a government-imposed limit on how high a price can be charged for a product or service. It's basically an artificial cap. The intention here is almost always noble, right? To make things affordable for everyday people. But let's build the foundation for why artificially capping costs leads to severe and sometimes pretty devastating unintended consequences.
Okay, imagine your school cafeteria makes an amazing announcement for tomorrow. Lunch is free, unlimited pizza. Take as much as you want. Obviously, word spreads like wildfire. Every single kid shows up, and because the price is literally zero, everyone grabs extra slices just in case. They pile their trays sky high. Now, 20 minutes later, what happens? The early kids have hoarded everything, and the kids who showed up late, they get absolutely nothing. Just messing with that price instantly triggered panic and created a totally artificial scarcity. And this brilliantly illustrates what happens in the real world, but on a massive scale. Let's look at New York City. Politicians capped rent to keep it cheap. The result? Everyone wanted their own apartment, which led to a massive shortage. Landlords couldn't even afford basic repairs, so they just walked away. Now NYC has thousands of abandoned, rotting apartments while homeless people sleep right outside. Look over at Zimbabwe. The government artificially capped food prices so people could afford to eat. Good intention, right? But farmers lost money selling at that low price, so they simply stopped bringing food to the stores. Crops rotted on farms while people literally starved. And it works the exact opposite way too. In India, the government guaranteed an artificially high price for wheat to help farmers. So naturally, farmers grew way more than anyone needed just to secure that profit. The government had to buy it all up, leaving 11 million tons of wheat rotting in warehouses while people in other regions went hungry.
It breaks the system every single time. And here is the ultimate, incredibly impartial irony of the whole thing. Price controls are almost always put in place with the good intention of helping the struggling class. But when the intervention creates a massive shortage, well, the rich just find workarounds. They bribe someone, they use their connections. It is the poor who suffer the most when the shelves go completely empty.
Let's move to Section 3, the value of your work, wages as a price.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we can shift this from nations and huge cities right down to a personal level, directly to your own paycheck. Let's say you run a lemonade stand. You hire Maria. She's fast, she's friendly, and she helps you sell 10 extra cups an hour at $1 each. Basically, Maria creates $10 of value for you. You can pay her up to $10 an hour and break even. But let's say a really well-intentioned law comes in and says, nope, you must pay a mandated minimum wage of $15 an hour. The math here is just brutal. You are now forced to pay $15 for $10 worth of work. That results in a $5 per hour loss for your little business.
You can't just run a business bleeding money every single hour. I mean, it doesn't work. So what happens? The business owner doesn't hire the worker, or they drastically cut down work hours, or maybe they go out and buy a self-checkout machine to replace the worker entirely, or worst case scenario, the shop is forced to close its doors for good. The reality is, a boss isn't paying for your time, they're paying for your results. If a mandated wage creates a loss gap, it simply results in automation or unemployment. Again, it is totally impartial. Math beats intentions every time.
And that brings us to Section 4, the ultimate lesson: trade-offs, the unseen costs. Because everything we've talked about today comes down to this one fundamental reality. Every dollar you spend, every hour you work, and every policy a government passes has an invisible alternative cost. For example, say you buy a beautiful BMW for $50,000. It's got those great leather seats, you feel amazing driving it, but you aren't just spending $50,000. You have to look at the unseen cost. What if you bought a super reliable Toyota for $20,000 instead? That leaves you with $30,000 extra. And if you invested that $30,000, to put that into perspective, in 30 years it could be worth a staggering $250,000. That is the true trade-off. That BMW didn't just cost you 50 grand today, it literally cost you $250,000 of potential future wealth. Every single choice means giving something else up.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the broader concept of trade and how we actually spend our time. Imagine a lawyer who charges $300 an hour for their legal work. Now, if this lawyer decides to clean their own office, sure, they save the $20 an hour it would cost to hire a cleaner. But by spending an hour sweeping, they are giving up an hour they could have spent doing legal work. They lose out on making $300. Now, if the lawyer does the smart thing and hires the cleaner for $20, they spend that hour doing legal work and they come out way, way ahead. Trade isn't a war with winners and losers. It is cooperation. It's really about doubling down on your specific strengths and then trading for the rest.
Which brings us right to the core thesis of our explainer today. Economics is not about what you have. It's about what you do with what you have. That is exactly why a place like Venezuela has massive oil reserves but is broke, while Switzerland has practically nothing in the ground but is one of the richest countries on Earth. When you begin to see this invisible matrix of trade-offs, profits, losses, and incentives, you truly understand the honest feedback loop of reality. And once you understand it, you become absolutely impossible to manipulate.
So, I want to leave you with this final, hopefully thought-provoking idea to take with you. Look at your own life, your own time, and your own money. What unseen trade-offs are you making today? Remember, every hour spent on a weakness is an hour stolen from a strength. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it sparked your curiosity to look just a little closer at the hidden mechanics of our world. Keep exploring, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.